welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, a podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991, from the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched Hook. This is John, and thank you for joining us on 1991 Movie Rewind. In Hook, Robin Williams plays Peter Banning, a husband and father who is consumed by his dealings as a high-power lawyer. Shortly after returning to England to see Grandma Wendy, his kids get abducted, and Wendy believes that Captain Hook is to blame. Peter refuses to acknowledge that Hook is real, or that he may actually be the Peter Pan from the stories, until Tinkerbell takes him back to Neverland. Screenplay by James V. Hart and Malia Scotch Marmo, directed by Steven Spielberg, and released on December 11th, 1991. You've seen Hook before.
Yes.
I have too.
Okay, good.
As a kid, I didn't care for it.
Okay, I loved it, but this is because I just really loved Robin Williams growing up. So, like, anything he was in, I would watch, and I just liked anything he was in.
I watched virtually everything that he was in as well. I knew him from stand-up days, I knew him from, like, Comic Relief and all this kind of stuff, and, anything and everything Robin Williams we pretty much watched. I think it just kind of goes back into the whole me not really liking period piece type movies, things like elaborate sets and like frilly costumes, and I don't know, like I also don't really care for the Peter Pan story. And I know this isn't an adaptation of it, it's an expansion upon that, but I just don't care about Peter Pan. So it was just, not something that appealed to me. Watching it again, I can see why it's a fan favorite. It's still not connecting with me at like a high level, but I don't all of a sudden love the movie, but I can definitely say I would like it more now as an adult than I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, for me it's about the same
level of enjoyment.
Yes.
Now versus then. Okay. It's really weird
because I was reading reviews and this did not get good reviews.
Okay. Did you read the criticisms to find out why, like what people were saying?
One of the main reviews that I read was from Ebert, and he gave it 2 stars.
Okay. Which
kind of, I don't know, surprised me. Cause, but when I was a kid, I would give this like 5 stars or something. But I guess it was just like the adaptation about, it was more of like him saying that adults aren't really like this, like as extreme as Robin Williams was in the movie. But I just saw that and I didn't even read it after. I just saw that he gave it 2 stars, and it was mainly because of the the old him, Robin Williams, or Peter Pan being an adult now.
Yeah, the main conceit is that Peter Pan has grown up and forgotten that he was ever Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And he's now this very high-strung, super serious lawyer with a wife.
He's very
and 2 kids.
Stressed out with his job and
refuses to let his kids be kids in a sense too. So complete polar opposite of what Peter Pan was.
Or what Peter Pan was afraid to become. Or just all the kids on that island, I guess, all the lost boys.
Yeah. And I don't know. He's basically the exact same character that we saw in Regarding Henry.
Yeah.
At the beginning. It's
What?
I understand the critique because while I do think that there are definitely people who are like that, like do everything right, like don't mess around, everything's serious, I'm very important, leave me alone type of a thing. That exists. But I think the criticism is valid in that you take this guy Peter to this complete,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course he's going to have the redemption story and like learn how to become himself again. I don't know. I think part of my problem with it is that it is very obvious. You know exactly what the story beats are going to be at any moment. Like, okay, yeah, he's not going to remember that he's doing this thing, and then he's going to have the introduction to the world, and he's going to have this revelation and all this kind of stuff, and you know where it's going, and it's a 2.5 hour journey. So yeah, I can see that.
And I think also when I went on Rotten Tomatoes, it does not have a good review either, so I was just surprised.
Do you have it up? What's the split between critic review and audience review?
So audience score is 76 and the critic review is 29%, which
Wow.
it's so
that is kind of low.
That's surprise. I mean, I didn't read the critics reviews. I just saw that and I was like, wow, people really didn't like this movie. But I mean, it's mostly people who I don't know. I guess little kids would be, yeah, this movie's great. But
yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people on Rotten Tomatoes who grew up with it before
the
internet and now going back and writing their reviews of it.
Yeah.
So the audience score is going to be a little bit skewed, I guess, in a way from nostalgia, potentially. But, I mean, this is definitely a well-made movie. It's highly competent. It has a lot of the Steven Spielberg type of charm that you would expect.
Yeah.
Very elaborate in terms of, sets and... some of the special
costuming
effects
and...
don't really age too well, but it's better than what we're going to see in a lot of other movies. Costuming is really solid here too. But it is long, and it is a very obvious story. And honestly, I don't know, this is going to be weird to say, but I kind of don't know if Robin Williams is the best person to play this character. On the surface, he sounds perfect. Because we all know Robin Williams and how goofy, crazy, funny he is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that he's not the right person. It's more that the script didn't allow him to do what we enjoy of Robin Williams more. I didn't really get a sense that he got to improv anything other than maybe the insult battle scene.
Insult part, yeah.
But otherwise, he didn't get a chance to really let loose. He was confined to this script, and he didn't get to have his... magic of Robin Williams shine out in this playful, joyful way. And when he was super serious as well, I don't know, you knew it's Robin Williams, and so that doesn't really carry the same weight.
Yeah, him in his serious role, you can't take it serious.
Yeah.
But he has done dramatic roles.
He has, very effectively.
Which are very good.
And we've seen Fisher King, right?
Yeah. So, which is serious, him being serious and funny.
And getting to let loose in both contexts.
Yeah.
So this one,
when he was
serious,
sort of, when he was serious, it was kind of over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Over the top, just stressed out and just being over the top mad and angry.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it would have been script and how much it was that he couldn't... That maybe he didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for this movie either. I don't know. I know apparently he was not the first choice.
No, because what I read, I don't know if you have the same info, is that they wanted Michael Jackson to do this.
Well, Michael Jackson wanted to do it with Steven Spielberg years and years prior.
Right, because in 1985, that's when...
before a script was written.
Yeah, that's Spielberg was thinking about it, but... He even said that he was being the older parent and he was being a bad father himself, so he kind of put it aside to spend more time with his kids.
Mm-hmm. Spielberg. Yeah.
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 And then I know that
Kevin Kline was also offered, but he had to decline it because of Soap Dish.
Oh, well, I mean,
So,
he's great at Soap Dish.
He's great in Soap Dish, and I honestly think he would have been great in this as well, because, like, look at Fish Called Wanda, you know, like, it's...
Yeah, I can see that. But I can't see anyone else. Like, Michael Jackson, no.
Right.
But then they wanted this to be a musical.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was originally planned to be a musical in the theaters, or just they were maybe going to have a subsequent stage show as well, like to complement it.
Oh, like a play, like to do.
Yeah, like have this movie and then
do a play.
Tour it on Broadway as a musical version.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
There are a lot of songs that are trapped in a vault somewhere.
Yeah, and I know they did like that. You know, the one song where the little girl sings.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminded me of the Fievel Goes West, where the sister is singing alone.
Yeah.
Like, it's the similar, like, connotation where she's singing the sad song alone. And
similar
wasn't she also in,
too.
like, a bird cage? Wasn't she, like, in a cage, the sister in
The
Fievel?
sister, I don't remember if she was in a cage or not, or if it was just she was backstage at the...
And just sadly singing. And
yeah.
I thought she was in a cage, and I was like, this little girl's also caged.
Yeah, she wasn't literally caged when she was singing this. She was, like, holding on to something, but she was surrounded by pirates on the ship. But it's the same subject matter, too. It's the song called When You're Alone.
Mm-hmm.
Which was nominated for Best Original Song at the Oscars, even though we only hear, like, 3 lines.
Yeah. And
we don't hear the full
They don't
song.
play it, like, at the end.
No.
Like how Fievel was, like, Fievel Goes West.
So it's tough to know how good the song actually is when you don't even get to hear, like, a full
the
chorus
full
and
song,
verse.
yeah. And
But
yeah,
what I heard I liked a lot.
Yeah. I just thought that was, like, a weird moment, because that was the only moment where there was a song.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this definitely morphed into a whole lot of different things.
It was just kind of like, everyone shut up and listen to the little girl sing.
I thought it was going to be a situation where Hook was going to,
like,
learn and grow a heart because of Maggie singing, but it didn't turn out that way.
No.
By the way, I mean, aside from Robin Williams, which again I think on the surface seemed like good acting or a good choice for the role, but I don't know, something's off about it for me. I think Dustin Hoffman is also kind of in that same category, but it works better for him. Like, Dustin Hoffman as Hook is a really weird choice. Very, very strange.
But I also read that Spielberg had Hoffman in mind to play Hook, like, from the very beginning.
He does a great job with it.
Yeah.
Although he does rely on the fake teeth a lot. Like, he puts a lot of his personality into his wig and makeup and the teeth that he's wearing and everything.
And that voice.
Yeah.
He was giving me Bane voice.
Yeah, sometimes, I guess.
Don't you think so?
I don't know. He wasn't whispery like that, though.
But he's like, good for.
Sure. But it's just weird to think of Dustin Hoffman as like a supervillain in a way.
Yeah, but I think Bob Hoskins is like, to me, like the best casted person.
So yeah, Bob Hoskins is Smee.
Yes, Smee.
Captain Hook's right-hand man.
Great.
Yes. Although I will say that I do think that one of the things that kind of hurts this movie a little bit, possibly, is that they rely a lot on the Disney visualizations when they're doing the casting and costumes. So, like, Smee looks like the cartoon version of Smee.
Yeah.
Tinkerbell, played by Julia Roberts, looks like the cartoon version of Tinkerbell. When Peter Pan grows up, he has the same, like, frilly green whatever
the tights
leotard thing, and Captain Hook has the exact same outfit. So, I mean, I'm not familiar with the books, obviously. I know that, like, a lot of the stage plays probably took inspiration from the Disney stuff as well, but maybe it was part of illustrations in some of these original publications before Disney came about.
Yeah, I never read the books. All I know is the movie Peter Pan, and then this. I've never watched any of the other Peter Pan renditions.
No, and I never cared to.
Except for maybe seeing, I think I saw the play, like, on TV, like a PBS.
Like a Sandy Duncan performance type of a thing, maybe?
I think the Julie Andrews
okay.
version.
So, but I mean, even the room that they're in, right? When they're in England and Wendy's
everything
house,
looks similar.
Everything looks exactly like what
and
you
I think
see
that's
in
what
every
they
stage play.
wanted to do.
I know, but I don't know. It makes it feel derivative, even though it's supposed to be honoring it. It's a weird hang up in my own mind, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, I liked Bob Hoskins as Smee, the character. I liked that he had some depth and range, and he wasn't like a pure villain all the time, but he was mostly villain.
Yeah. But that's kind of like how Smee is.
Yeah. And I think the only place it really breaks away from the Disney side of things is with the Lost Boys. Because one, you're adding a new character, Rufio, which I don't know if he's a fully new character. But
I think he's a new character.
He's new compared to what was in the Disney movie.
Yeah.
So he might be in some of the novels.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because, I mean, when Peter Pan leaves, did Rufio, he was like, okay, I'm in charge? Or did Peter Pan say, you're in charge? You know how at the end when...
I don't know if Peter Pan intended to leave that first time when he met his wife, Mora.
Because he's like, I'm going to give her a kiss. And he's like, no, a real kiss.
And then he's like
and
stuck
that
there.
just meant he's stuck there. So then Rufio is probably just... They probably like fought it out and Rufio won.
Maybe. Yeah.
And he's their leader.
Yeah. But you have a huge band of Lost Boys now. Not just a couple that are in the Disney cartoon, and they're not in like pajamas. Now they're in like actual Lord of the Flies type war gear.
Yeah, the kids that were in pajamas were like Wendy's brothers.
But they were considered like the Lost Boys, right?
For a couple days until Wendy was like, no, I want to go back home.
So, yeah. I'm saying that's the biggest derivation. Right, that's the biggest change between Disney.
Is that they're
Neverland,
not in pajamas?
And that there's like hundreds of them now.
It's kind of like
they are their own thing.
It's kind of like Lord of the Flies, which is sort of reference.
Yeah, and Lord of the Flies probably took a little bit of inspiration from Peter Pan, perhaps, in the idea of having a world of just children. But took a much darker turn in Lord of the Flies than this. So you have Rufio, who gets a really good, badass introduction.
Yeah.
And I love the set of the Lost Boys hideout. It's massive. There's tons of like ramps and vehicles and things. And
I mean, as a kid, I was thinking like, how come they didn't make a Peter Pan land like at Disney World? Kind of like this Lost Boys set where you got like. I know they have the Swiss Family Robinson thing where it's like, that's kind of like similar, I guess. But
they could have like a little skate park for the Lost Boys at the bottom,
That's what I was thinking. How come they didn't have some sort of area like that?
I don't know.
Like Universal Studios or in the early to mid 90s, they could have had that. That would have been a cool thing to do that I would have wanted to go to.
How much did Disney really have involvement in this though? Like I think this was separate from Disney.
Yeah, it's not Disney, but I mean they could have. I don't know because I know it's Steven Spielberg, but they could have like collaborated or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
to make a Lost Boys world.
I forget how soon after he formed DreamWorks, but maybe he was already kind of like entrenched in the Amblin Universal world, and then they don't play nice with Disney. Especially in the theme park space. So yeah, Rufio gets a really badass introduction, and you get a whole bunch of other kids in there. And that's the best part, and I wish we got to see more of some of the other Lost Boys.
Yeah, they only show about 5 or 6 of them that they really focus on. And the
yeah,
other
only
one,
like
the
two
other
of them have like prominent roles. You got Rufio and Thudbutt. Like,
yeah.
I mean, the rest of them, like, you have to go to the credits to
You
look
have
up
the
their
little
names.
kid, the one that's the little.
Yeah, the little kid who's like, "Oh, there you are, Peter," by smushing his face.
Smushing his face around and like flattening his skin out and taking out his wrinkles to be like, there you are. I mean, he was kind of
Yeah, it was a
there.
nice little moment. And he argued to say, "Oh yeah, this is the Peter Pan. He should stay."
Then you had there's at least a couple of other, but you don't know their names.
Right. Yeah, unless you go into
until
the credits.
until you go on IMDb, and some of them are called. There's Don't Ask.
Don't Ask.
Like, when did they even say his name?
They said it once. I was listening for it.
All right, and then there's
He's the guy with the tie.
Yeah.
He had some acting work as well. James Madio. He'd been in here with Dustin Hoffman, and he'd been in Band of Brothers and Basketball Diaries. So
he's in this HBO show that was like. I used to be obsessed with it, and I went down like a rabbit hole. It's called Life Stories, Families in Crisis. It was kind of like an after school special. It only lasted like a couple of years, but he was in one where he played, and they're all. Each episode is about a real life event. So he played this kid named Joey DiPaolo who got AIDS at a young age by doing some sort of heart transfusion.
Okay.
So he got AIDS, and then it was the whole entire episode is just about him being bullied because he has AIDS. But then it's just kind of each episode is kind of like just bringing awareness to these hot topics, I guess.
Okay. This was in the 90s?
Yeah, because I remember him from that, because I remember watching all of these, and then there was and then the first episode was with like Callista Flockhart, where she plays someone who has an eating disorder. Like, each episode is just, but it has all of these sort of famous people now. Like, there was one with Ben Affleck, who he played like a football player who was addicted to steroids.
Okay.
And then there was another one with Sam Rockwell. Like, I used to be obsessed with this for some... but it only lasted like a couple of years. But it was like an after-school special thing. Like, I would watch them, and that's how I learned about these topics.
Okay.
But I remember him about the kid who had AIDS. And
so it's like a Ryan White fictionalization.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I just remember him.
But yeah, they do say "Don't Ask" once.
Okay.
For him. But yeah, you have other people like Too Small and Latch Boy.
Latch Boy, and then No Nap, and I was like, who were they though? And then someone by the name of Pockets.
Pockets, yeah. There's, I don't know.
Because they don't really say their names except for Rufio and Thudbutt, and I guess Don't Ask.
I think it's a missed opportunity. I think they spend a little bit too much time with Captain Hook, to be honest with you. I think they spend too much time.
Yeah, my favorite part is when the Lost Boys are teaching Peter Banning to be Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And that's only like over 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you have good actors. Like, you could. Part of the conceit of the movie is that you only have 3 days to prepare for this epic battle.
Yeah.
So, like, Peter gets to Neverland. He introduces himself to Captain Hook, in a sense, by saying, "Hey, you have my kids. I need my kids back." And Hook doesn't believe that it's actually Peter Pan because
he's
he looks
old.
like him.
Yeah.
And then Tinkerbell has to intervene and say, "Oh no, don't kill the kids. We're gonna keep this war of the century on that you've been." The reason Hook intervenes and even captures Peter's kids is to force him back to Neverland to kill Peter Pan as part of this war of the century, the war to end all wars. And so now Peter's back.
Wouldn't Hook know that Peter Pan is now older because he has kids?
I don't know how much they know about how things work on the outside world. He knows how to infiltrate it, clearly. But I don't know how long he's allowed to stay or what. I don't know.
When even in the sort of in the beginning, it's as if Captain Hook is looking into that room night by night, and because his daughter says, "Oh, the window washer guy."
Yeah, the window washer guy stole the baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was looking in.
We're assuming it could have been Smee because we see Smee
at the end.
Well, we
being
probably
like a
Smee is like a janitor.
Well, it's Bob Hoskins.
It's Bob Hoskins, but it's not. Yeah, we don't know for sure if it's Smee.
Who's like sweeping the gardens.
That's another thing that kind of bothers me about it is like they almost set the movie up so that it could all just be a fantasy. You know, you could have like a Total Recall situation. You could have like a Fried Green Tomatoes where, you know, is it Iggy or not that's telling the story, right?
Yeah.
Because he's calling out for his wife in multiple occasions. Moira never comes, you know, but he's like clearly drinking. He has alcohol in his hand. He's stumbling drunk. And then he's at this open second floor window, and like it could either be a nervous breakdown or that he's dying, and then all this Neverland stuff is like a nervous breakdown vision. Or, you know,
like it never really.
Yeah.
He never really went to Neverland.
Right.
He just dreamt it.
They could have set it up that way. It looked like they were setting it up that way.
Okay.
And then the ending completely says, nope, that's
like.
That's
all.
out the window.
Because
Toodles is off to Neverland again.
Found his marbles.
As an 80-year-old man. And Smee is there, but is it really Smee? But yeah, it's probably fucking Smee. All's well and good.
Yeah.
So, I wish they would have left some ambiguity in there. Because it was setting it up for there to be some.
Like, yeah, to be, like what you said regarding Henry, but not, like, he wakes up and he's like, okay, I'm going to be a good father now.
Yeah.
Because I had this blackout dream.
Yeah, Christmas Carol type of a revelation. Or, again, just keep it totally up for debate like a Total Recall thing.
Yeah.
You know?
But and then it doesn't. Well, I think the reason, this is for the kids. And you want things to be magical. So you see at the end with Toodles, I mean, in the beginning of the movie, he's like, I lost my marbles. And that makes you think that he's, you know, literally losing his mind.
Right.
But he's actually looking for his marbles. And Peter gives it to him. And that's his happy thought. And this is the other thing. So, was there pixie dust in the bag?
Possibly.
Because you can only fly if you have the pixie dust.
It's either that or, yeah. There must have been.
And he flies off to Neverland.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, he could be the leader, even though he's like an 80-year-old man. But whatever.
There's a lot of moving parts in this movie. It's such a long one. It takes about 40 minutes to get to Neverland.
Well, yeah, I'm fine with the pacing of this. Like, I wasn't bored.
It's not a super long 2.5 hours. It doesn't feel like it most of the time, but there are some sequences where it's like, okay, can you, like, we don't need the mermaid makeout scene, right? Like, that was weird and
to save
unnecessary.
him. I think that was just like a callback, because they're trying to do a callback to the Peter Pan movie, because there is a mermaid scene in Peter Pan.
Yeah, but you don't need it here.
But how does he... They would have to show him being saved from, you know, falling off the plank or whatever to his supposed death.
Yeah. They could I don't know.
Well, they could have shown one mermaid kiss him to give him breath.
Maybe.
Or air.
Yeah. I'm just saying, there's some longer sequences. I think there's also some far too many cameos that are shoehorned into this thing, too.
Yeah.
That drag things down. You got David Crosby in there a couple times as one of the pirates who says stuff. You have this scene with Jimmy Buffett and the shoe-stealing pirates when Peter first arrives.
Okay, so yeah, when he first gets there, when Tinkerbell's like showing him how to act like a pirate. I mean, that's funny though.
There was when he gets dressed up as a pirate. Yes, there is a good joke in there. After he finally gets dressed up as a pirate and he says, "Oh,"
and then the other guy's like, "How are you doing?"
I'm good. Yeah, that part's funny, but
it's the part where
some of the lead up, yes, is not
where they introduce Captain Hook and he's doing this whole spiel like who here denies me or whatever or
and that's another cameo, right?
Yeah.
That's Glenn Close,
yes,
who's put into the boo box.
But that's also a funny sort of thing too. Like it leads to a funny thing. The boo box.
Yeah.
But it's I guess it's just longer to set it up to whatever the joke is supposed to be.
Yeah, it really slows everything to a grinding halt to get to that spot. So, I don't know. The other cameo that I can mention here is we have George Lucas and Carrie Fisher supposedly on a bridge. That doesn't actually eat up any time because that's when Tinkerbell is taking him away from London into Neverland for the very first time.
Yeah.
And you can't see their faces. You just happen to know that they are them from trivia online. And I think the credits specifically... No, maybe they don't mention them in the credits. I don't remember.
I think it was uncredited.
Yeah. So... a lot of cameos in here. Phil Collins is the Inspector Good.
I mean, that's the only credited thing because he has
Glenn
lines.
Close and David Crosby are both credited because
okay.
they also have lines. That I know for sure. So you have I really don't understand the point of the Phil. I don't know.
What, Phil Collins is the inspector coming in to...
Yeah,
like help find the children that
I think
are going to be missing.
I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with the inspector character existing. I have a problem with like all these weird cameos.
I think it's just like
it's
Steven Spielberg's like, hey, let's just get a bunch of friends together and make a movie. I have no idea.
Yeah, but it kind of ruins the
fun.
Yeah, and also just like the engrossment of it. Like, how can you get immersed in this thing if you're just gonna find a whole bunch of random cameos and be like, oh, hey, look, it's Glenn Close in a beard. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I truly don't know. I mean, as a kid, it didn't bother me. I didn't care.
And you probably didn't notice some of them either.
Yeah, I didn't know who these people were.
Yeah. But I will say that, Phil Collins doesn't really look like Phil Collins in here.
I mean, now I know that's
does.
him.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's Phil Collins, like, immediately.
He does have the mustache.
But it's like all the people who played the pirates, you can't really tell.
No. Yeah,
They're just pirates.
I would not have known it was Glenn Close as a kid, nor would I have really cared that much. Jimmy Buffett, I still don't really know which one he is, because I don't care what Jimmy Buffett looks like. I don't know who he is. So, he has a song that a lot of people like that I don't.
Right.
So
he has a chain of restaurants.
Yeah. Like he's made his money. I don't have to adore him. So I don't know.
All right. Well,
we're going all over the place. I don't think we're going to do a lot of the plot points themselves. I don't know if we really need to.
We're just talking about random.
Here's what I will say as well. All right, so you have the two kids. Right, you have...
the kids are also great kid actors. I mean, we got Charlie Korsmo again.
Yeah, Charlie Korsmo is here again. We've seen him in What About Bob? A great kid actor. He plays Jack, who is taken under the wing of Captain Hook, because at one point Smee's like, here's the best way to get back at Peter. Make the kids love you instead.
Yeah.
Here's how you keep them here. Get them to love you. And so, he teaches the class, like, here's why parents hate you. And
you have Maggie, the daughter, who's just like, I don't believe you. I love my mom. She's always like, I love my mommy.
Yeah, Amber Scott plays Maggie Banning. This is really her only major role. She did, a little bit of, a documentary work type, like a reenactment type of a thing once, and then that was it. So...
I mean, I really liked her. She was kind of like another Thora Birch.
Yeah.
Just really... a good young actress.
Yeah, definitely. what I'm confused about is after she gets her F in that class and sort of gets taken away, we see her singing the When You're
but
Alone
where is
song.
she after that?
Yeah, where is she otherwise? She's just kind of like, she's not at the baseball game.
No, I thought she was just like locked up because she's not complying with Hook and Smee.
And we could have seen that.
Yeah, her trying to ask for help or scream for help or something.
Right, because we never really see that. We don't see Jack trying to convince Maggie that this is where they should be. You know, we don't see anything like that. Maggie's just kind of gone for a while until she's needed to go back home. That's when she appears again.
Yeah, at the last fight.
So that's another problem I have with the movie, is that they kind of get rid of
the little girl.
And a major
like
motivation.
She's just like obsolete or whatever.
And Jack is the main thing.
And they're like focusing mostly on Jack because he's easier to sway.
Yeah, he has a tense relationship with his father already because he's trying to be a kid and his dad won't let him, and his dad is too busy to go to his baseball games, and so Captain Hook sets up an entire baseball game for him and all this kind of stuff. And then Jack gets to dress up as Captain Hook, and he gets to smash a bunch of clocks, including the one that his dad gave him.
Yeah, what about that clock that his dad gave him? Or the watch, I guess.
It was never mentioned afterwards. I mean, it was meant to be metaphorical, obviously. But,
yeah, but he could have been like, Dad, I ruined your watch. Sorry. I don't know.
I think they grew past that in terms of their relationship. So, I don't know. And Jack is the reason that Peter flies. Right? Seeing Jack being born, like remembering that Jack was born,
the whole part
that's
where,
his happy place that allows him to fly.
The parts that did bother me was the whole Tinkerbell. I know that, I mean, in the movie, she's like secretly in love with Peter Pan. She has this crush on him. But why even show that at all in this movie?
They spend a lot of time on Tinkerbell's like unrequited
love for Peter Pan.
Yeah, a lot of time on it. It's a conduit to the background pieces. You know, like when Peter is a baby and he runs away from his mother in the carriage down the hill.
That's where I was laughing. I was like, how did he realize that he wanted to run? I think the carriage just like fell backwards on a hill, and then the parents were like, I don't give a shit.
Right, you're like, okay, I guess my baby's gone.
Yeah. And that's when Tinkerbell finds him and saves him.
So yeah, he's like on the wet concrete with rain pouring down, and yeah, Tinkerbell's holding a leaf above his head and stuff like that, and then takes him to Neverland, I guess. It's such a weird thing, but I guess babies can grow up to a certain age.
Well, that's why I was like, once you're in Neverland, you can't age. So, but he aged. So
he
you
aged
can
to whatever Peter
like
age
14.
Was.
It's like the oldest you can be is like 14 or something, and then you just stop. I guess.
I mean, all the pirates are adults, so I don't know how they get there. Or
how they became.
Age.
Well, those pirates, like in the Peter Pan movie, those pirates, they come to Neverland. They're from like somewhere else. They just like drop ship onto Neverland. That's why the Lost Boys like want them out.
Gotcha. So yeah, he was a baby. Maybe Tinkerbell took him back and forth periodically to let him age up and grow and then come back or something.
But how though?
I don't know. How does Tinkerbell do anything?
Because
it's magic. She becomes like a light bulb that flashes around people's heads, and that's, or she hides in a
I don't
hat.
think so, because they show him when he's like 6 years old and then like maybe 12 years old coming back and kind of playing with his shadow, and that's when he finds Wendy and he starts this friendship with Wendy until Wendy is like,
Wendy's too old.
I'm a grandma now. I can't play anymore.
Yeah, Wendy like jumps back and forth between Neverland as well.
Yeah, so. She goes, I mean, in Peter Pan in the Disney movie, Wendy is taken to Neverland until Wendy is like, I want to go home now.
Yeah, but movie says that they basically go back and forth.
Yeah, they go
a few
back
times.
and forth. So yeah, that's probably in the books or whatever, which I never read. Where maybe she did go back and forth to visit Peter Pan, but she didn't want to live there like permanently.
Right.
So she had this friendship with Peter Pan.
Yeah,
until
and then she grew up
and had children and then grandchildren.
Which they don't really say in this movie, though. I don't think. They insinuate that she never married.
Oh, really?
But they also...
So you think that her children and grandchildren are...
Just the orphans that she
Orphans,
raised.
yeah. Because that's... Like, her family took in the orphans, or... Yeah, orphans, and adopted them.
So I think one of the...
Because I think even, like... Isn't Toodles, like, technically adopted into her family?
She's... Yeah, like, Toodles is also one of the orphans.
Yeah.
But... I think the book insinuates that they are married.
Oh, her and Toodles?
And Wendy are married. I could be wrong about that. I read it off of IMDb and I don't remember anymore, right? So, take that with a grain of salt. But in this movie, I don't think she's married to anybody. And I don't know if she had her own kids. She's just always dealt with the orphans in her life.
And those are her kids, and then... Her kids,
probably to make it less creepy, because if it was
kids.
like Wendy's daughter Moira who married Peter, that'd be kind of weird in a way. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. But
you think that like because
orphan.
Wendy and Peter had this sort of crush on each other,
right?
Like it's implied.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was reciprocated at all.
No, there was never a real kiss, because otherwise he wouldn't have been...
Yeah, he would have been with Wendy.
So...
I think they just had like a really strong friendship. I don't know anything about the books.
Me either. I will say this, though. Again,
but I do know that like Tinkerbell is jealous of Peter Pan and Wendy's relationship. Like their bond that they had.
Yes, and obviously very jealous of Moira,
the
real life wife real life.
The real wife.
The real wife, played by Caroline Goodall in this, who hasn't done a ton. She's been in like Schindler's List as well with Spielberg. She has been in White Squall, and also Princess Diaries 1 and 2, credited as Mia's mom in both of those, which is a weird way to credit somebody, but
and she's like barely in this movie.
She's barely in this. Yeah, she's there to
just be kind of
nag Peter. Well, not really nag. She's in the right, but
right. She's just like, can you talk to your child, please?
Like, hey, save your family before you save this business deal.
Like, do you really need to work while we're on vacation? Like, she's saying valid things.
Yeah. This is such a recurring theme with 91 movies, isn't it? So we got Regarding Henry, we got like Bare Essentials, and now this is like the exact same type of like business mentality.
Yeah.
So, and every single time it's the wrong way to go. And everyone learns.
Always dealing with mergers and acquisitions.
I know, right? And you have
always because he's the corporate lawyer for and then I'm
and he's afraid to fly in planes.
I know, and I still don't even know what mergers and acquisitions is.
Just combining two companies into a nice happy family.
I'm like, why was it such a thing in the mid to late 80s, early 90s?
Oh, it's become so much worse since then.
I mean,
but yeah, you have him in the early scenes being like, walking with a bunch of people following him, that type of tropey thing.
Yeah, and then they do this weird cell phone bit,
the cell phone battle.
Like, I don't know.
I think that's to show that he's having more fun with his work people than he is with his family. He's more willing to goof around with them than he is with his son. But yeah, where were we with everything? The wife isn't in the movie.
We're just going. Yeah, the wife doesn't. Yeah,
she's there to care about the kids, but so is Wendy. But Wendy's older.
Yeah, I think we just get to the part where Peter finally finds out his happy place. Mm-hmm. And the part, I guess, where I think went too long was the whole thing between Tinkerbell and him, where she makes this wish where she wants to be big.
Which, how long was that going to last? Because she's small a little bit later on.
Yeah, I just didn't understand that, like, why that could have been cut out. Like, I don't...
Yeah, I don't need to see them realize the love, right? So, yeah, like Tinkerbell kisses Peter, and then that makes him realize, oh, I love Moira.
Yeah, and that's when he thinks about, oh, I'm a dad. Oh, me being a dad is my happy place.
Because there's a small little part in there where once he learns to become Peter Pan, he forgets the real world. He forgets his adult stuff, and he forgets that he even has kids.
Yeah, because he's now immersed with the Lost Boys.
But then shortly after Tinkerbell kisses him, that's when he flashes back to his wife and is like, oh yeah, that's right. And he's like,
I gotta save my kids, and then
great.
I'm a dad. And that's when he realizes his happy place. Because he can do everything except fly at that point. And that's they're trying to teach him how to fly. And they're like, think of happy things. And he's like, me not doing whatever it is I'm doing right now.
Yeah,
like just coming up with
being on this slingshot type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of good scenes with the Lost Boys, and I wish there was a little bit more of that. I wish.
My favorite
through that more
part of the movie is like I just want a whole Lost Boys side movie.
There probably is from Disney animated side of things, but
well, I don't want animated. I wanted like a live action, like more Lost Boys stuff, like with their food fight and
yeah, you have the fake food. You know, it's non-existent until Peter believes that they're actually eating, and you know he wins the insult fight. And then all of a sudden, the food is real again.
Fight, and
it's super colorful, and everything looks like paint that can be eaten.
And this just them battling each other, and then
just other simple things too. Like when they go to the baseball game, they're there to steal Captain Hook's hook, and so you have it's a trope of like two kids on each other's shoulders, dressing up like adults.
Yeah.
That's like cute though.
Yeah, I like that. And then I was thinking like how come movies don't do that now where a kid is on another kid's shoulders dressing up as an adult?
Yeah.
They don't do like when was the last time
so overdone at this point? I don't know. It was in like every single cartoon.
Yeah, I know it's in cartoons, but I think
last time I can think of it being done is when it was like dogs on each other's shoulders trying to go into a grocery store for a commercial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but they don't have kids. That was
like 5 years ago or something.
Kids on kids' shoulders.
No, I don't remember that. That was probably like a 90s, last time in the 90s thing. But then you have things like when they're prepping for the war and they just walk through the environment and automatically the armor's on them. Stuff like that.
Yeah, really and then the contraptions that they use to fight with.
Right. The chicken egg gun and the marble shooter thing. And
yeah, all the pirates are all kind of like scared of these little kids coming at them.
And
I mean, that was fun.
I think they did a good job of focusing on.
And then Thudbutt doing this cannonball thing.
Yeah, the thud ball where he just like rolls. It's clearly like a fake.
I mean, obvious. Yeah. His legs go up all the way up into his chest and he rolls forward.
Yeah, and then it cuts to like a bouncy ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny still. Yes. I mean, it's obviously fake, but it's still funny.
Right. Like, that's where the movie shines, and there isn't enough of that type of, like, fun and fancy-free attitude.
Yeah, that's why I want, like, more Lost Boys stuff.
Yeah, instead you get the ruminations of Captain Hook, who's afraid of what he's become and what's going on in his own mental state. And you have, this way too long learning curve of Peter understanding how to be a dad or how to be Peter Pan. And, it just kind of gets dragged down in some of the human elements that are supposed to be good, but they're just too obvious and not as fun. And then you have, again, stuff that you expect to have happen. You see very beginning when they arrive at Neverland that there's a giant croc statue with a clock in its mouth, and that's the crocodile that stole Captain Hook's hand. Yeah. And he killed it and stuffed it and put it in the town center. And what do you know? what's going to ultimately do him in. Who could
Yeah.
ever imagine, right? It's a nice set piece, but again, it kind of takes too long to get there, to the point where the statue falls on top of him and we assume he's gone, but we don't actually see him
Yeah.
after that.
I mean, at that point, Peter has his kids, and then they go automatically just. Well, he tells Tinkerbell to take his kids back home, and that's when he Well, in the midst of all this,
Yeah,
poor
Rufio has a
Rufio
nice
dies, which.
But he does have a really good sword battle with Hook.
Yeah.
Most of the battling in this, though, is bad. Like, the sword fighting scenes between Hook and Peter Pan are just not well choreographed. They're just, it's very lackluster action until the kids get involved with their gadgets. That's when it's good. The Rufio and Hook battle isn't too bad, but,
Yeah.
the main thing between Peter and Hook, just like,
It lasted like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And because then,
they're just like slapping their
Lost
arms
Boys-
around a little bit.
I don't know, they're 2 old men. I have no idea.
Right, but I don't know. There's so much thought put into everything else. I wish there would have been.
Like more swashbuckling.
Yes.
And then, yeah, poor Rufio sadly dies. But that scene is like 2 seconds long too, where Rufio is just like, I wish I had a father like you. And then it just looks over to Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Jack is like, oh, I love my dad. Like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I wish, yeah.
I wish I had a father like you. And then he dies. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter Banning has to appoint a new leader, and he gives it to Thudbutt.
Yeah. Rightfully so, because he did everything. He wasn't just the thud ball.
Yeah,
wasn't
he did
just like shooting
that
the chicken
paint gun thing. Yeah, he was doing all the
He was involved
contraptions.
he was in the center of the action. I think the only other thing I'll say about this is that I think some of the early dialogue was a little bit too cutesy for me. We never talked about bangarang, how that was such like a catchphrase in this thing that never really caught on outside of this movie. I don't know if it was meant to, but
No.
everything that was like cool was bangarang.
like how nothing caught on from Bill and Ted's like bogus journey, really.
Station?
Yeah, who said station?
Just people referencing the movie.
Yeah. I think the only time people said bangarang was just to talk about this movie. Like, I never screamed bangarang.
I know. But it's just interesting that it was so prevalent in this. But
yeah.
But some of the earlier dialogue is just way too cutesy, and again, just alluding to stuff that we already know is going to happen. Like Peter telling his kids, "Grow up. When are you going to stop acting like a child?" And
Yeah.
Wendy saying, "Oh, so you become a pirate, huh?" When learns that he's become a lawyer. And
I don't know. That's
the people who
whatever.
are sending him off, the business people, when he's getting on the elevator and he's saying how he's going to take a flight, and he's like, "Oh, don't forget to flap your arms," and stuff like that.
That's cheesy, but I don't know.
Wife like, "Get him here by hook or by crook." Like, okay, yeah, it's a hook. Okay, got it. And the doorknob in
they're
the
just
kids' room
making
is a hook.
Yeah,
okay.
they're just making all these references. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too much. It's like every other sentence is stuff like that happens. Anyway. I think we covered most of what there is to cover. Again, the magic and the effects.
Well, okay, my new favorite.
Nana.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I don't want to say. Well, we didn't even mention Nana, but yeah, Nana's just the same as in the cartoon.
Yeah, I'm okay with Nana being the same. There are a lot of people who get the same type of dog over and over again, so
yeah,
it's okay.
but naming it Nana, because
Yeah.
Nana would have been 100 years old.
Yeah. Nana buries the cell phone.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say my new favorite line is now "kill the lawyer."
Yeah, because Rufio is Rufio is antagonistic towards Peter at the beginning.
Yeah, but he's like, kill the pirate, and he's like, I'm not a pirate, I'm a
I'm
lawyer, and they're like, kill the lawyer.
Yeah.
And I want like a T-shirt that says that. Even though I probably would be like killed for wearing a shirt.
Wear that at your law job.
Yeah.
There are some good lines. I just wish, again, Robin Williams was maybe allowed to interject a few more, because we know he's fully capable of it, but he didn't get to play in this playground that was clearly set up. The magic and the effects in the movie, pretty okay. Some of it doesn't age very well, some of the green screening stuff, but honestly I think it gives you like a good mix of everything the era has to offer. You have like green screen stuff, you have painted backgrounds of like the aerial shots of him flying over the islands and whatnot, and you have like really good, nice practical sets and stuff, so it's pretty good. We got a lot of cast though to talk about, so let's quickly go through some of this stuff. We got Steven Spielberg as the director. This is really weird. Okay, so he won an Oscar before he won an Oscar for any of his movies. So he won an Oscar, the Irving G. Thalberg Award, for creative producers whose bodies of work reflect a consistently high quality of motion picture production. So he won that in 1987. So he didn't win it for like Close Encounters, he didn't win it for like E.T. or anything. He won this honorary award in 1987, really before he hit his like major, I don't know, I guess you could argue multiple primes for Steven Spielberg, but he did also win an Oscar for Schindler's List a couple years later for both directing and producing. He won for Saving Private Ryan as well for a director, and he's been nominated a bunch of times as well for either directing or producing Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Color Purple, he was nominated just as a producer there, Munich, Letters from Iwo Jima, Warhorse, Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, The Post, and West Side Story most recently. Emmy winner as well for Band of Brothers, and also daytime Emmy winner for Tiny Toon Adventures, Animaniacs, Freakazoid, Pinky and the Brain, all those types of good stuff. Not his best work, but it's still pretty quality overall. J.M. Barrie, who wrote the novel / play, the first adaptation of Peter Pan was in 1924. He's most known for that, of course, but he's also written some other things that have been adapted multiple times, called Half an Hour, and then also Mary Rose, which is like a murder mystery type of a novel, I believe. James V. Hart, one of the writers, he's done a lot of varying type of projects. So he has Hook under his belt, obviously, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Muppet Treasure Island, Contact, Sahara, Tomb Raider. A lot of variants in the stuff that he writes. Malia, Scotch, Marmo. We'll see another one of their movies in 1991 called Once Around, also known as Rich in Died. They also did Madeline and Good Morning Karachi. Dustin Hoffman we'll see in Billy Bathgate in 1991. He's an Oscar winner for Kramer vs. Kramer and Rain Man, and also nominated for Graduate, Midnight Cowboy, Lenny, Tootsie, Wag the Dog. Bunch of Oscar nominations for him. None of them are for All the President's Men, which is weird. He does have an MTV Movie Award win for Best Comedic Performance for Meet the Fockers, though.
Oh, jeez.
He's also been in things like Straw Dogs and the Kung Fu Panda series. I'm going to skip over some people that we've talked about before. Robin Williams, Charlie Carswell, Julia Roberts, we've all talked about before. Although I will say that in terms of this movie, Julia Roberts was the only Razzie nomination for this movie for Worst Supporting Actress. I can see it. Her performance was not great in this.
I mean, I don't know if you read this, but she was having a hard time on set.
I did, yeah.
And
this is like her... a big point in her life with the Kiefer Sutherland stuff that was going on in her personal life, and she also didn't get to act alongside anybody. She was just kind of like in a room, probably. Yeah,
they had another reason why they spent so much money on the sets was they had to make things oversized, so make her look small in a lot of things.
Yeah. And it looks good.
I mean, the set is fine. I mean, she was fine in the movie. The only thing I didn't like was that whole "I love you" speech.
It's just, it was too much focus on Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins is Smee. He'll be in the 1991 movies Shattered and The Favor of the Witch and The Very Big Fish. Oscar nominated and BAFTA and Golden Globe winner for Mona Lisa back in 1986. Also a Razzie nomination for Son of the Mask. Apparently he was in Son of the Mask with Jamie Kennedy.
Okay.
Weird. I didn't know he was in that, but and Golden Globe nominated for Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Maggie Smith played Granny Wendy. I didn't really know who she was. She was aged up for this. I think she was like in her 50s when she played this 80-something-year-old woman in this movie.
I mean, she looks same.
Yeah, she looks the same as she does now, so they did a really good job of aging her up. But it was
But she
makeup.
looked the same as 50 as she does now at 80.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They aged her up to be older in this movie.
I know, and she looks the same.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. So they did a good job. They made her look what she was going to look like when she was 80, I guess. She's an Oscar winner for Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. That was back in 1969. California Suite in 1978 as well. Also nominated for Othello, Travels with My Aunt, Room with the View, and Gosford Park. Emmy winner for Downton Abbey 3 times over. Also nominated, also a winner for My House in Umbria. She does have a Stinker's Bad Movie nomination, so not a Razzie, but a Stinker's nomination for Worst Fake Accent in Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. I guess she was going for American and did not nail it in that one. But she's also been in the Harry Potter series as Minerva McGonagall, and Sister Act 1 and 2 as Mother Superior, which is where I would have first seen her, I'm sure, as a kid.
Yeah, I remember her from this movie, and then she was in the Secret Garden.
Okay. I never saw that either.
She was kind of like mean in that. So I always thought of her as being kind of mean. And then also, even in like Sister Act, she was also kind of like...
She's very uptight, yeah.
She was like she always played like, the uptight person.
Yeah.
And I always thought of her as that, except for like her in this movie, because she was just, the grandma.
Yeah. There are a couple other small roles I could mention. I mean, a lot of the Lost Boys did not go too far into their acting careers, to be honest with you. So...
I mean, Rufio's.
Yeah, we got Rufio. I'll end with Rufio, I guess. Phil Collins, we already mentioned, is Inspector Good. We got Rufio as one of the Lost Boys, Dante Basco. My mistake. He'll be in the 1991 movies Perfect Weapon and The Hitman. He's been in such things as But I'm a Cheerleader, American Dragon, Jake Long, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Star Wars: Galaxy Adventures, and also several episodes of the MTV show Undressed.
Yeah, I remember him in that.
I don't remember anybody in that. I just remember liking the show. I couldn't tell you who was in it by name.
There was a lot of... You'll be surprised of a lot of the people that were in Undressed. You're like, oh, this person.
Yeah, we've come across a few on this podcast already. And then the last person I want to mention on this is Gwyneth Paltrow, who played young Wendy in one of her very first movies. She was in this, and then also in 1991 she was in Shout. The only other previous credit to her name was an unaired pilot from 1989 for a TV show called High that was not picked up. That show was written and directed by her dad, Bruce Paltrow, and co-starred Craig Ferguson and Zach Braff, oddly enough. But yeah, this was one of her first roles, if not her first role. I guess Shout would technically be the first released, but we'll talk about her more then when we talk about Shout. So that's about it. Awards. We already talked about the Best Original Song nomination, but it was also nominated for Best Art Direction and Set Decoration, and also Costume Design, and also Visual Effects, and also Makeup. Did not win anything. At the Golden Globes, Dustin Hoffman was nominated for Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical, but lost to Robin Williams for The Fisher King. And then it was also part of the MTV Movie Awards Best Hairdos Fake Nominees Clip Montage. I'm assuming for Captain Hook.
Rufio. Oh, not Rufio's hair?
Oh, yeah, it could be. Rufio did have better, legitimately hair.
Yeah.
Legitimately better
I wanted hair like that when I was young.
But knowing that these fake nominees are usually jokes, it could have been Captain Hook's wig.
Oh, like when his wig came off and he was bald?
Maybe. Oh, one last thing I do want to mention, because we didn't really talk about this scene in there. J.M. Barrie transferred all of the copyrights to the Great Ormond Street Hospital. They own the copyright to Peter Pan now. And that is the hospital, I believe, that is mentioned when they do... The reason Peter is even in England is to give a speech at this event fundraiser for
the
orphanage, the hospital that Wendy works at. So it's a real place. I think they're using the same name in this. Yeah. And that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, when they have, like, he's giving the speech and he's saying, I don't think we have a whole lot in common with each other. And then he talks about how wonderful Wendy has been to his life and how much she's touched him. And, you know, one by one, basically everyone, like, stands up and shows the impact of who Wendy is and who she's helped. And I think that was just, like, a really beautiful, well done scene. And I wish there was more of that type of stuff in there too. But yeah, I wanted to use that as an excuse to say, yeah, Great Ormond Street Hospital owns the copyright to Peter Pan, so even if you don't like the story like me, it's helping a good cause.
Yeah. And they have the part where when he comes back from Neverland, he's in the Kensington Gardens, which we've been to. That's the big park we went to by where we stayed in London. And they have that Peter Pan statue, and that's where he's under the statue. He's found sleeping underneath that Peter Pan statue.
I think that's all we got there. We'll go on to true crime and pop culture.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go with, this is TV/music.
And then I got a little bit of extra stuff if you don't cover it.
Okay. So on December 11th, 1991, that was a Wednesday, and it was the 1991 Billboard Music Awards. So I'm just going to combine TV and music with just talking about who won what. And I thought this was funny. It was hosted by Paul Schaefer.
So it must have been on CBS then.
Yeah.
Or it would have been NBC.
It was on Fox.
Oh, never mind.
No.
Yeah, because Letterman was still on NBC at that time. That's pre-COVID.
Yeah, I was like, he hosted that? Like, I just never...
He is a comedian on top of being a musician,
I just never seen him do anything besides be, like, the sidekick.
Yeah, if you watch really early SNL episodes, like the first 5 seasons, he's in there a little bit.
I just never seen him do anything, like, by himself.
Yeah.
But the big winners for this year were Garth Brooks, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and CNC Music Factory. And Garth Brooks won 5 awards, Billboard Music Awards, for number 1 album, and then number 1 country album, number 1 country singles artist, number 1 country artist, and then number 1 country albums artist. I don't understand, like, these categories.
It has to be all based off of sales, right? It's not, like, actually voted on.
It's just the categories are so specific. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, country albums artist, like, out of all of the albums, and then singles. And
that's making me think that out of all the time that we've been doing this, I only remember Garth Brooks' name coming up once. And I know that we focus a lot on bottom 5s lately, but...
Well, this is from music from 1990, though.
But this aired, like, late December 1991, so, okay.
So it was...
they waited that long.
He won for the album No Fences, which was released August 1990.
Okay, and so there's, like, a... half and half, probably.
Yeah, probably half and half, because I know CNC Music Factory was huge in 91 too.
I know that, like, Thunder Rolls has come up once, and I remember that because trying to pull the YouTube video for our website.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever version I found was already pulled down, because, like, it's just not on
that
YouTube.
Was probably for, like, the beginning of the year, because, you know, Thunder Rolls and, you know, Friends in Low Places were, like, the big ones from this, big singles from this album. And they were probably released... Thunder Rolls was released in April 1991. So Friends in Low Places was released August 1990. Then it was Unanswered Prayers in October. Then January of 91 was Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House.
I don't know it.
And then Thunder Rolls was April 1991. See, that's why I'm, like, confused how they release singles like 6 months apart.
Yeah, they slow roll them so it can just keep the name in the...
So, like, more sales come in. It's like, oh, he's not making more sales, so let's release another single. And
something like that.
So that's what confuses me about, like, certain singles being, like, so popular, like, a year and a half after the album's been released.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that makes sense. It's during this time. And so Mariah Carey, she won 4 awards for number 1 Hot 100 Singles Artist, number 1 album for her. That's her very first album, her self-titled one. And number 1 Adult Contemporary Artist, and then number 1 Pop Artist.
Okay.
And then Whitney Houston, she won 4 awards for number 1 R&B album for I'm Your Baby Tonight, which that was released in November of 1990.
Okay.
This is like a year before still. And those had, they had I'm Your Baby Tonight, All the Man That I Need, My Name Is Not Susan. Do you know these songs? See, like, the first single is I'm Your Baby Tonight, and that was released October of 1990. Then All the Man That I Need came out in December of 1990. Miracle came out in April 1991. My Name Is Not Susan was released July 1991. And then I Belong to You was released October 1991.
Yeah.
From that album.
Yeah.
So it's just the same thing. It's like every 3-4 months, let's release a single to get more sales. And she also won for number 1 R&B Singles Artist, number 1 R&B Artist, and then number 1 R&B Albums Artist. And for CNC Music Factory, they also won 5 awards for number 1 New Pop Artist, number 1 Hot Dance Club Play Artist, number 1 Hot Dance Club Play Single for Gonna Make You Sweat, and then number 1 Hot Dance 12-inch Single Sales for Gonna Make You Sweat, and then number 1 Hot Dance 12-inch Singles Artist.
Well deserved.
I know.
I guess. I don't know.
So, yeah, and then other winners were, for Best Modern Rock Artist was R.E.M., and they also won the number 1 world album for Out of Time. And number 1 New Pop Male Artist was Ralph Tresvant.
Huh.
And the number 1 country... So, okay... Garth Brooks won all these country awards, but the number 1 country single was for Alan Jackson's Don't Rock the Jukebox.
Wow.
And the number 1 world single, do you want to guess what it is?
Bryan Adams?
Yes. So Bryan Adams' Everything I Do For You won. And then this is cool, I thought. Number 1 new pop female artist is Kathy Dennis, and I've sort of talked about her before. She's like another vitamin C.
Yeah.
She secretly has... She still like writes and produces music for, you know, like new pop artists now. So I thought that was cool that she won.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about Hook in pop culture world.
Okay.
Because this was a massive movie. It was number 6 in the box office list. The budget was kind of big, $70 million, but it made 119 domestically, 300 worldwide. So it did pretty well for itself, and so that usually comes with merchandising. I didn't look this up. I believe that there were action figures for these.
Oh, probably.
If you want to double check my work on that. There was a board game that looks like a very, very quick slapdash effort that does not look fun to play. Topps released a 90 card trading card set. I almost said baseball card set just out of habit, trying to get myself to not do that. So there is a Topps card set based off of the movie Hook, which does not feature Tinkerbell at all, I don't think. It could be that Topps did not get the rights to use Julia Roberts' image, perhaps. I know that sometimes happens with baseball players, is that, certain baseball players who are popular are not on some of the sets because they have to get individual rights from some of these people. Or maybe there was some other weird infighting with the studio or something that caused her to be omitted. But usually these sets tell the story of the movie to a degree through a set of 90 cards and pictures. It has to be kind of tough to do without Tinkerbell at all. But
what, like Magic the Gathering?
No, it's more like if you put them together in a row and read the backs, they'll tell you the story.
Oh, okay.
So it's sort of like a picture book in a way, if you want to think of it that way. And then this also had several video game adaptations. Super Nintendo and Genesis / Game Gear / Sega CD all got a certain platforming type of adventure game. The regular Nintendo and the Game Boy also got a version of this that's separate. It's also a platformer, but it's a completely different format than the Super Nintendo version, so it's like a pared down type of thing.
Have you played it?
I have not played it yet. I've played through about 25% of the Game Boy library at this point, but I have not yet played Hook. Generally speaking, the reviews of those games was about a 7, 8 out of 10, so I guess it's slightly above average. And then it has a PC / Amiga port, which was more of a point-and-click adventure style game, sort of like Monkey Island or Maniac Mansion type of a thing, if you're familiar with those. And then there's also an arcade cabinet, which was much more of an arcade beat-em-up, sort of in the style of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or X-Men, where you could play as Peter Pan, or Ace, Pockets, Rufio, or Thudbutt. So, there you go.
Oh, another thing, because I looked up the Broadway play, and they did have Peter Pan on Broadway during 1991. From, I think it started in 80. Well, they had so many different renditions.
Yeah, I don't think it was using the same songs that John Williams and I forget the woman's name wrote together for this, though.
No, this was the music by Mark Charlap and lyrics by Carolyn Lee.
Yeah, those are different people that worked on this.
The Peter Pan, this was from the Broadway, was from 1989 to 1993, and J.K. Simmons played Captain Hook.
I can see that.
And Peter Pan was played by Kathy Rigby, and she played Peter Pan for 30 years. Wow. She was a gymnast before that, and she played Peter Pan for 30 years.
So we go on to rankings and ratings, I guess?
Yeah.
All right, on your 1 to 5 star scale, where are you going to put Hook?
I'm going to give this a 3.
3? I thought you'd go higher based off of how you're talking earlier.
Well,
did I talk you down a bit?
No, because I compared this to Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead because I love both of these movies growing up, and I don't want to. If I was 11, I would have given them 5 stars, but certain things just make me give it a 3.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a perfect movie. It's just
I have to not think in my 11-year-old brain yeah, this is great.
Right.
So yeah, it's a 3. I almost gave it a 4, but I don't. It's not better to me. This is not better than Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and I gave Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead a 3. So it's got to be on the same level as 3. Yeah.
And we do have all our movies ranked on the website in full order too.
Yeah.
So, the best as we can. I'm sure it changes from day to day, but on my 0 to 4 star scale, I'm gonna give it a 2.5. It is an above average movie, and that's about as far as I can go. 3 is, I don't know. I think there's just a little bit too much trouble with the script and the plot, and I think it was just kind of hampered and restricted, which is weird because the whole point of the movie is to be free and be yourself, and I don't think it was allowed to be. Every movie is worth watching once. Would you watch this again?
Yeah.
I would too. If you were to ask 10, 11-year-old me, I would say no, I don't care about
Really?
this. I don't like it.
I mean, I watched it a lot growing up.
I watched it the one time and I was over it. I was not enjoying myself back then, but I enjoy myself more now as an adult.
I will say that online there's like a 25-year anniversary of like a behind the scenes with the Lost Boys.
Oh, okay.
I watched a little bit of it, and it's only like 10-15 minutes, but it probably could have been like something like on a DVD.
Yeah, it might have been.
Like an updated DVD release. But, I mean, we can put that on the website. And then
we'll link to it.
I found some clips of the 1991 Billboard Music Awards on YouTube, but the quality is so bad that I don't even know. I mean, I can give you the links to put on the website, but it's sadly bad. And it's only... It's like
little
all
snippets,
the...
right?
Yeah, it's just little... It's like 15 minutes long, but it's like mostly all the performances. It was like CC, Music Factory, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. And then there's another clip where it's just all the clips of every time Mariah Carey won an award. So it's like 5 minutes long. And it's like someone going, Mariah Carey, Mariah Carey. I thought that was kind of funny. But the quality is so bad. I was like, oh, I want to put this up, but you can't really see.
It's not our thing. So we can link to it. And if you guys want to watch it, go to our website and you'll find it there. However, if you want to watch Hook, as of this recording in August 2022, it's available on Starz, digital rental, VHS, or DVD. As always, check your local listings. As for us, you can listen to us on all your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. It does help us out a lot. You can email us at 1991movierewind. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and YouTube. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies along with show notes and more. Next week, we're continuing our family-friendly fantasy extravaganza with Motorama. That's available on Prime, digital rental, VHS, and DVD. We will see you.